Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Ricochet Community Call number 10. That's double digits. This is going to be the last community call of the year. And we got some cool stuff to talk about today, so let's get into it. Three things today. First off, we're going to discuss the Gnosis Safe integration, which was completed. We're going to talk about the value it brings to organizations, Ricochet as a whole, and how organizations can leverage it to, amplify the revenue and, use their treasuries to invest in a responsible and passive fashion. Next, we're going to review how far actually that's going to come after we talk about the Gnosis Safe. We're going to talk about, give updates on the business, the quantitative, and the dApp improvement side of things. And lastly, we're going to reflect on everything that we've done in 2021. Ricochet Exchange got started in July. We're going to reflect on how far we've come. So I'm going to turn over to Mike to talk about our Gnosis Safe integration.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, all right. So this was actually really impressive that we were able to get this done. I don't know if he's here, but Mehul, I hope I pronounced your name right, was able to implement this. He had some experience with it. And yeah, basically this works as you would expect. Gnosis Safe just sort of has an app. We still have to go through a process to see if we can get our app to show up, right? You have to be approved and then show up. Superfluid's done it, so I'm sure we can do it. So this is what it sort of looks like now. You can load in the app using the custom app feature. You just type in https app.ricochet.exchange. And then this is sort of the interface you get. You sort of see you have the ability to stream into markets. You can do the launch pad. The rexBank link won't work in Gnosis though. I don't think that is not set up to handle Gnosis Safe. So but yeah, so this was a good accomplishment. So DAOs can use it. On the next slide, we're basically going to have some of the use case information. But one thing I'll note is please let the DAOs you work with know. If the DAO that you work with is doing anything like buying and selling assets, especially the ones that we already have listed, then consider using Ricochet. I know we talked about a referral program. We're doing this referral program thing, but it'll be on the next version of contracts. I don't know, maybe we could discuss some kind of if anyone does refer a DAO that ends up using it, we should work out some kind of informal referral reward until we were able to get the version 2 contracts. So anyway, yeah, that's the last one I want to set is just let your friends, let your DAO friends know that this is available. Yeah, you want to take it, Sonny, because I know there's some use case slides.
Well, yeah, we definitely lay down like a BD bounty for those kinds of DAO outreach kind of things.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the organizational benefits of using Ricochet. So kind of reiterating some of this stuff that I've spoke about in previous calls and previous presentations. Basically, the advantage Ricochet creates for organizations is they're allowed to mobilize and amplify the revenue in a passive fashion. So say you're a business and you're earning $20,000 per month. Traditionally, what businesses do is they come to their bearings at the end of each month. They gather their money, they collect their budgets and everything, and they understand how much they can invest, and they go forward and they make those investments and those purchases. And this is actually something I can attest to as a former financial analyst myself. I've seen this kind of investing and budgeting process firsthand. When you can do this kind of same process with streaming instead of lump investing, say you're earning like $20,000 per month, by streaming that into an investment, you can potentially amplify that revenue into $21,000 per month or $22,000 per month based on the performance of the asset you're stream investing into. And so with Ricochet, you can really quickly compound your profits every day without having to wait. And so that's really, really valuable. And also it's quickly flexible. So, say your budgets shift, then adjusting your investment plan is basically as easy as dialing your investment stream from $5,000 per month to $4,000 per month. And, in terms of treasuries, let's say, a lot of these DAOs are sitting on a lot of idle capital. And so they struggle to mobilize that quickly because of governance red tape. There's a lot of kind of indecision there, and doing these kinds of dollar cost averaging actions, they require lots of transactions, every month, routinely kind of making these transactions. And so when you can automate that with Ricochet Exchange and just do that with a stream, and all it takes is just one transaction to set off that kind of repetitive dollar cost averaging and those routine investments, that reduces, the transactional kind of a drag that this kind of a, treasury investing entails. And so, with Ricochet, DAO can say trigger a stream that will invest, say, 10% of their treasury into, say, Ethereum over the course of the year with a single vote. So that's really powerful. And the last thing is with organizational treasuries, they need to be invested responsibly. You can't, try to time the market with them. You don't want to, take on that kind of price risk all at once. With Ricochet Exchange, you can take on price risk, into an asset of your choice. Say the DAO believes in investing in Ethereum. Everyone believes in Ethereum. They could start an investment stream into Ethereum and take on that price risk gradually, incrementally, and linearly. So you're just kind of investing in a very responsible dollar cost averaging, accumulating sort of fashion. And that kind of fits in with the kind of risk appetite that these organizational treasuries have. And so, overall, a lot of these benefits also pertain to the benefits of personal, like retail investing using Ricochet Exchange. So yeah, and this is a graphic that kind of demonstrates that. Shout out to Anthony in our Discord. He's been a very good media RexForce member, and he put together this great bounty, this great visualization as part of a overall dollar cost averaging use case explanation bounty. So shout out to him. Great work there. All right, so moving on to the recap and outlook. The first item here is business. We'll talk about kind of the business things that we accomplished over the last 2 weeks. So first off, there is a potential partnership here with Ricochet and Index Co-op. So Index Co-op is for those of you who are unfamiliar, it's a crypto protocol that offers index products. So some examples would be the DPI index. So investors can use that to basically buy a token that tracks the price of a basket of diversified underlying DeFi tokens, so a compound token, Aave token, etc. There's also a multiverse index, that tracks the price of a basket of multiverse tokens, and there's also a ETH 2x leverage token that tracks the pricing of a 2x leverage ETH position. And so these are all passive kind of investment tokens that track these sorts of investment streams, so that investors can invest in these without having to place a bunch of trades and do that all in a passive fashion. And so we're out here creating this revolutionary new way to passively invest, and they're out there creating these passive investment tokens. What better partnership than allowing people to passively invest in these passive investments? And so this is definitely going to come to life, and it's a very simple integration. It's basically creating these stream markets, these Rex markets, that allow you to stream into these passive investment tokens that Index Co-op creates. I've already had the conversation with Michael, their DeFi to DeFi integration kind of manager there, and it was a great conversation, and it definitely seems like something that can drive a lot more volume to Ricochet Exchange and good potential overall in kind of like the mission we have. And yeah, so that's that. The next is kind of a general Superfluid update. Superfluid is making steps to move on to Arbitrum and Optimism. That has been confirmed. And we talked about Ricochet Exchange kind of fitting into the real-time investing sort of part of the real-time finance ecosystem that Superfluid has created, and them expanding to Arbitrum and Optimism is a possibility for us to bring real-time investing to those chains as well. And that's definitely going to be something that's going to come up in a future community call. Once that kind of thing happens, and and we'll have to gauge the profitability, all that kind of stuff, and the worthiness of moving on to those chains. Yeah, so just several kind of general business development updates on the bottom here. I was able to list out a bunch of business development and media bounties, and I was able to attract a bunch of contributors in the community who wanted to. You didn't really have the technical acumen to contribute on the GitHub repos and everything, but they were able to find these bounties and just kind of work on different media, memes and explanations and video tutorials, that kind of stuff. And we were able to get some new RexForce contributors through that avenue. We were also able to get listings on CoinGecko and Nomics for the RIC token. Shout out to Fran for helping to expedite the CoinGecko listing, which is awesome. You can now see price of RIC on these listing platforms, which is really cool. And yeah, so the RexL, so moving on to the idle mentioned here. So the RexLP for the idle wheat sushi LP token, that unfortunately didn't work as planned, and so we had to delist that. And so now the rewards originally allocated for that RexLP, that $2,000 worth of RIC, is now appended to the USDC to idle Rex market, and so now people will be earning 2 times reward. So those idle rewards will basically persist for another 30 days. And so there's now, since the start of that market, there's been basically from the start to the end, $4,000 worth of RIC is up for grabs, and that's all distributed proportional to your stream rate. That's usual with RIC incentives. Yeah, lastly, the rexBank, we voted, and the rexBank is going to be getting $75,000 worth of funding from the Ricochet Treasury. Mike will get more into that in the Ricochet Bank slide, which is coming later in the presentation. All right, I'm going to turn over to Mike to talk about some of the improvements on the app end and some of the progress that's been made there.
Yeah, there was a good amount that was added to the app. I took a screenshot of it this morning. Just a lot of miscellaneous things. I'm not going to go into much except for the one that's really visible on the image, which is the dollar values for how much is streaming. So now when you look at a pool, you'll see that the units have been normalized into dollars, so that you can see the dollar value. The other thing, which doesn't have an image here, is the wallet page. I thought we had it maybe 2 weeks ago, but maybe it was done in the last 2 weeks. And that's just, that page basically recreates what's on the Superfluid app. So if you've ever gone to the Superfluid app currency tab, where it shows all of the tokens in your wallet, that's basically what we have here as well. And then a few things on the back end, which people aren't seeing, but if you do remember, I had that big list of version 2 stuff, and that is coming along really nicely. On the back end, we had a couple new contributors that jumped in on Solidity. I think people who contributed to the front end maybe realized they could also contribute to the back end. So we had, JR, who helped with some of the hard hat tests for the rexBank. So we were using Truffle, or I was using Truffle, and JR came in and refactored all those tests to use hard hat and TypeScript, which is going to really help with the speed of development and the maintainability. And the other thing was Raskoff was able to put together the test suite for version 2. So this was mostly a lift and shift, but also required a little bit of integration, because the contracts are kind of, the version 2 contracts are still sort of works in progress. They compile, but they don't necessarily they haven't been thoroughly tested and debugged. And then, yeah, there were a couple, we did like 3 versions of the rexBank, because each time we were like finding small things. But we now have a pretty stable version. It supports stream funding, so that from the bank we can, rather than periodically doing these deposits to the bank, we just turn on streaming into the bank. So it's funding it through a stream, which is nice and is handled well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have here. Did you want to highlight anything, Sonny? Because I know you're familiar with you're familiar with a lot of the front end improvements that have happened.
Yeah, no, I think the bank is really cool because it's kind of like the first kind of scratching the surface of stream lending, and basically you're borrowing like against capital that's been provided through a stream. So it's kind of like scratching the surface there. And I'm sure that kind of stream lending kind of paradigm is going to expand as we kind of develop that. I'm just going to pull up the app and just kind of like show these in action. So can you guys all see this?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I'm just going to pull this up. You can see that it's going to load my streams. The values populate after
your RPC connection. After your RPC connection catches up.
Yeah, and you can see like the dollar value there and the actual value down there. Yeah, so Mike pointed that out. And then if you go with your wallet, you can see, it looks a lot like the Superfluid dashboard for those of you who've seen that before. This is what the Superfluid dashboard looks like, and we took a lot of that user interface and implemented it here for for users, and this looks a lot better than what we had previously with kind of like the select your token and upgrade and downgrade your selected amounts there. So good stuff. All right.
Very nice. Good work, everyone. It's really impressive to me that we continue to just ship a bunch of new improvements to this app at the speed that we're doing it, and at the diversity, because I think there's a lot of hands on it. I think we've added 9 people to the GitHub organization. So yeah,
the shipping has been crazy. We've been super productive. All right. Lastly, we're going to review the numbers of Ricochet Exchange. Mike, you want to speak on this as well?
Yeah, I'll do this one. This is fun. All right, yeah. So this month, or this period, we're now at about $2 million a month in streaming value, which is up over 100% from where we were last time. That when you annualize that out, it's about 26 million in volume through the exchange, and that equates to about $525,000 in revenue annually. So the RIC price is 168. The fully diluted valuation is just that times 10 million, and that's up almost 100%, so 80%. I think it's interesting. The treasury balance has gone up significantly, mostly because the volume has gone up significantly. The amount that's in there now is over 100,000, though that includes the liability on all the loans. So that's $74,000 that's in the bank on loan. That is also included at $122,000, because basically that's everything that's been streamed in from the launchpad. It's now mostly being streamed right into the bank, where it immediately gets borrowed. But with the bank, now with interest payments on $74,000, it's about, you're looking at almost 10 grand a year, which is pretty good. That's up significantly from where we were last time. And yeah, in the RIC treasury, we still hold about 8.3 million tokens, which fully diluted value would be about 14 million. So there's plenty of RIC rewards. So there is also a premium on bounties, mostly because we want to get them done quickly and we want to attract new people. But just understand that we got to get that RIC out there. It's not doing us any good sitting there. So, the more we can push out through bounties and get into the hands of, solid contributors is better. And then of course, we're always selling RIC on a pay per use kind of system, which is if you use Ricochet, you get RIC. Yeah, that's how it works. So yeah, so I don't know if you want to add anything on here, but I'll just say it's kind of crazy to pass half a $500,000 in annualized revenue. It's also kind of crazy to pass $25 million in annualized volume. It's not that crazy to me that the RIC token is where it is at all. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, this is really cool. We can expect the total value stream and that kind of volume to dip after RIC rewards subside, dry up after the 10th of January. So we'll see where the actual honest volume stands.
Right.
And I'm sure it's going to be optimistic as well, because we're seeing the USDC to idle market. There's no idle to USDC market, so there's no RIC back and forth farming that's going on there. There's no RIC rolling, and so and that market's at a volume of 25,000. So that's really good. 25,000 per month. So that's excellent, and I'm sure we're going to see good results after those RIC rewards drive as well. The other thing here is the revenue number on UCCX on loan. That's kind of figurative based off the amount that we've lended out there. It'd be really cool, maybe in a future iteration of the bank, making those interest payments required through a stream or something from people that borrow. Just an idea out there, but yeah, those are my thoughts.
There's one more slide on numbers too behind this. Yeah, so I thought it's kind of hard to pull the numbers for rexBank. I'm going to go through there are events, so I can make a dashboard. I can add it to the dashboard, but I did think it was kind of interesting just to break it out, and found some cool stuff. So first thing is, why borrow lending? Well, first of all, we had this technology and it was a nice thing to add for the contributors, but we quickly found out that it was really popular and other people would be interested in it too. I like that it injects leverage into the market from day one. So the bank is currently getting funded via Stream. So we're taking steps towards Stream borrow lending. And the first step that we took was just the easiest one, which was going from an ERC-20 transfer model for funding to just a Stream model for funding. And that has actually worked really well. If you're familiar, if you notice, we had a lot of problems with borrowers. There was just no liquidity. I sort of like shamed the person that was like borrowing $20 every 10 minutes or whatever, keeping it empty yesterday. And now it's looking really healthy. We have lots of small borrowers. The borrow amounts are anywhere between $20, $500. But yeah, so that the streaming has actually really added a lot of value. And some of the next parts to do streaming are probably interest payments. If you're willing to stream your interest payments and pay your interest in real time, I think it deserves a discount, right? You're basically de-risking your position, right? Because right now, all of the money borrowed is increasing in risk because it owes more money. Well, I guess it's not really increasing in risk because it's the same amount you lend out. Anyway, the other observation here is that the amount of loans that have been funded from the bank have exceeded $100,000. So over $100,000 have been borrowed by contributors. Also, on the flip side of that, there's about 32,000 that has been repaid of that. So that's how kind of we get to, if you see the deposits tend to be more than the borrowed amount, it's like close to 20% higher or whatever it would be, 15% higher. That is a function of some people making repayments and then some people borrowing the money again. The other interesting thing is in origination fees through when you borrow, so 1% origination fee on the bank. So when you borrow, you're generating a debt of origination fee. And so the origination fees have breached $1,000, and then annual interest payments are about 8.9 thousand, with monthly interest being about $74 or $740, which is up over 100% from where we were last slide. I think last slide we were doing like $35 or $350 a month. So the bank is also growing at a really nice rate, and I hope to see that continue. Yeah.
All right. So lastly, we're going to review 2021. We got started here at Ricochet in July, and we've come pretty far from our humble beginnings. And we're just going to kind of give a celebratory kind of reflection on everything that kind of transpired and gained us where we are today. All right, so I figured I'd start off with this picture. This is Mike and I at a football game, American football, not soccer. Yes, we are real people and we know each other in real life. We're good friends. I've worked as his TA for a course at the University of Pennsylvania. And yeah, like we live in the same city. He's across the river from me. And yeah, it's not something that you see in many crypto projects, many Web3 projects. The founders know each other closely and in real life. So figured I'd point that out here. And yeah, Mike, anything you'd add?
No, I'm just so proud of Ricochet and what we've done in like 6 months. This was really good to have. We went to this Eagles game. It's a funny story, which I don't think we should get into on the call, but it was a great time. We got free food, free drinks in that little VIP area. Saw a win, and yeah, it was a great Tuesday.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That was this Tuesday, wasn't it? Yeah, that was no.
Yeah, it was last week.
Tuesday. Last Tuesday, yeah, last Tuesday.
All right, I figured I'd fill this slide up with like a collage of different kind of screenshots from us just getting started. This right here, this notebook page was Mike's original white paper for the Ricochet super app before we got started with it at Scaling ETH. As you can see, it's got that CFA to IDA super fluid model there. And yeah, this is like the first thing that kind of, seeded the idea of Ricochet Exchange. After that, we kind of got started on it at the Scaling ETH hackathon. We got down those base contracts and everything, and we made like a rudimentary app for it. And we got to present it there, and we ended up winning the Superfluid prize for that one. So got $500 for it, which came unreasonably late, but that was a fun experience, and it definitely gave us encouragement to definitely further build on this and take it to where it is today. So this is like the first iteration of the app. This is where it looked like no colors or anything, no bells or whistles, just kind of like what Ricochet is, and just a basic widget that lets you interact with it. And yeah, after that we took it, we added some colors. I went online, found a little image, threw it in the background, and it ended up looking like this kind of panel structure here. And yeah, here's some screenshots from our first tweet, and then kind of like when I kind of messaged Mike like, hey, let's make this our new logo. And shout out to everyone who was here when our logo looked like this 2D pixelated kind of thing here. You guys are the OGs. And yeah, it's been a long time coming. So yeah, this is where we got started. All right. So here are the kind of like major events that took us to where we are today. We started off with our first Rex market on the 13th of July. That was the DAI wheat market. After that, people in August got their hands on the first RIC tokens with liquidity mining. After that, there was a lot more interest that was generated, and we launched our first community call on the 18th of August. And then after that, we introduced our second product, that being the Rex Launchpad, giving people the opportunity to stream buy our tokens and get the proceeds straight to our treasury. And then finally, and after that, we mobilized our bounty program. A lot more people started earning RIC, and people started getting compensated in that. And yeah, those people who the first bounty contributors are definitely doing really well in terms of ROI on their bounty payouts. That's for sure. And yeah, Rex LP went live on the 10th of November last month. So now we're sitting here with a suite of 4 different products doing really cool things in real-time investing and real-time lending, and well, not quite real-time lending yet, but getting there. And our total value streaming has been on the climb, and it's been a journey, and it's been really fun, to be honest. Seeing this community build around Ricochet Exchange, and I always say, I think we were on a call with like a VC at one point, and they asked us like, "What's our moat?" And one of the first things I brought up was the smart people that Ricochet Exchange attracts, like the intelligence of our contributors and the community around us. If you come into our Discord, it's very, very kind of high substance discussion. It's not like kind of like just empty hype or anything. We're having valuable discussion around the advancement of our protocol. And there's a lot of intelligence flying around in our community. So really happy with everything and everything we've built and the people that we've been able to link up with along the way. So those are my thoughts. And this is our last slide here. Mike, would you have anything you'd like to add to this kind of trip down memory lane?
Yeah, I think I would just highlight the bounty program. Like those of you, I mean, I was trying to tell everyone what was going to happen when you accepted a bounty at like RIC being worth like 16 cents, 20 cents. So the people who listened and did work and got stuff done in the very beginning, they were rewarded as they should be for contributing at that earliest stage. As time goes on, I mean, the price, will do what the price is going to do. But you have to understand that the price has like a big impact on governance and the bounty program. So like if you come in and you dump like 5,000 RIC or whatever and take the price down like 90% or something, like, obviously that's going to have an impact. I mean, it's sort of like you saying that you're not happy with what we're doing when you tank the price like that. Or, obviously it's not exactly what you're saying, but the price is sort of an indicator of whether or not the DAO is doing the right things. If it's not doing the right things, you would expect that the market would be signaling up to us that we're becoming less valuable. So with that in mind, with the bounties program, we're going to try to just do, a weekly price and settle things on Friday. Everyone gets the same weekly price. And I think someone suggested volume weighted asset price, which I think is fine. We could do that on like a daily volume times daily close, and then average that. But yeah, just understand that like if you start something and then you like leave it hanging, the price might double on you, and you'll get the same amount in dollars, but you'll have missed out on the gain that you could have had if you got it done sooner. So there should always sort of be like, you should close things out and get your bounty Because I know what happens is the price doubles when you're working on something and it's half done. Unless you like really intended to actually finish it, that experience of knowing that you're going to get half as many Rick, same amount of dollars, half as many Rick, discourages people. And I actually think that that's a good thing. If the price doubles and now you're like, well, I'm going to get half as less Rick, like, and then you stop contributing because of it, like that's a good mechanic. Like you probably should, stop. You probably shouldn't have been contributing in the first place because you're just here to, make some money and you don't really believe in Rick. So anyway, I'm glad that the market has developed. So there's some liquidity for people. I hope people will continue to understand the benefits of participating in the bounty program as a way to get Rick, as opposed to buying it. You can work for it. So, and yeah, I would just like to see more bounty payments go out because, like I keep saying, the Rick and the Treasury is not doing anything for anyone. That's all.
All right. Well, that concludes community call number 10, the last of the year. Thank you all for coming. This was excellent turnout. I'm going to open up the floor to questions, but actually before that, I'm going to pull up the form that we sent out to collect, basically questions for. All right, I'm going to stop my share.
Yeah, we can take, while you get that set up, anyone here have questions? Jeez, there's so many people here. I'm gonna go buy another 5,000 Rick. Yeah, go ahead. Who is that?
This is Clayton.
Hey, Clayton,
yeah,
it's
really
good to hear from you. Welcome.
Call. Cheers. Good call. Thank you guys for like putting together a presentation and stuff. Sometimes I wonder how you guys manage to build the stuff, be in the community, and do this kind of work. So appreciate your hustle. I put a few questions through the form, but I really only have one major one, which is like, there's a couple different projects that are interested in streaming to their project token for their reasons, right? Like one is the Superhuman DAO, and then the other is this other project called Sync DAO. So I just kind of wanted to understand what's maybe the timeline and the process around adding new tokens, and maybe like what are the community threshold, like interest thresholds you're sort of looking for, and what your thoughts are around that sort of thing.
Yeah, the version 1 of I'll take it. The version 1 of the contracts can be deployed as long as the token is listed on a Uniswap compatible market. The deployment is rather straightforward. It requires just running a simulated test with the token addresses, and then you can confirm that the price is going to be available through Teller, and then at that point it can just be deployed. So it's kind of just to check a couple boxes to deploy traditional market. As far as the process for getting listed, I would say like we basically said that we would list things based on community vote. So I think if somebody is serious about being listed and actually wants like my personal attention to get listed, then they would need to have a proposal passed. And to have a proposal, put up there, you're going to need the 10,000 Rick. If you don't have 10,000 Rick, you can coordinate with somebody who has the 10,000 Rick to get it listed. But I personally will list your token. It's a bit of a distraction, but I could do it, especially if the vote is passed. Now, the other thing is anyone can list a token. You just need to deploy the LP market. When it becomes a Ricochet listed token is when you transfer ownership of the market to the DAO. Once ownership is transferred to the DAO, then of course it's a Ricochet listed market. So there's nothing stopping anyone except Superfluid. You need to get a registration key to list your own pair. But yeah, to summarize, like I will list your token, like I will do the code and list your token if there's a proposal that passes to do it. Otherwise, like it's just like, I get it. Everyone wants to be listed, but it does take an investment of time. And personally, if you're not willing to go through and get 10,000 Rick to make a proposal, I'm not really interested in taking a break from what I'm doing to list your token. So
that's fair. And then as I understand, or is it true that like having a stream live from like USDC to any given token, that requires like keeper bots that are up, right? Like to actually run those transactions, or how does that work?
It does. We have a keeper network. There's about 5 of us that run keepers. I run a keeper, and then a couple other people in my city run keepers, and then I think we have another keeper, 2 keepers that are not in my city. But yeah, like the barrier to add a new market from a keeper perspective is almost insignificant now that we have like $14 million in RIC in the treasury. So like it doesn't,
Gotcha.
I wouldn't, yes. So as far as adding the keeper, that is such an easy, just direct message the group that does that, and they'll all add it, and then it'll start getting. So that I don't think is really a blocker to the whole thing. The real blocker is just that it's, it's just a delicate, complicated process to step through. But like
Cool.
I said, if someone does a proposal and gets it listed, you can just propose that we list it. You don't need to propose that we subsidize it. You could propose that we list it and subsidize it. We have 2 listings there, Maker and Matic. You could use the same template as those and just kind of throw it out there in the same fashion. I think we should probably, in proposals, you probably want to figure out if we want to subsidize it, how much should be subsidized. But just listing something, just request that we list it. Because I guarantee you, if we list some of these markets, like you said, there's at least one person that really wants to use it, the project team.
Sure.
Yeah. Is that
presumably,
good? Does that sound fair? Make a proposal and I'll list it right away.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just curious. And it's cool to hear that it's not actually that expensive on the keeper side of things. I guess I'm just used to L1 things.
Well, you have to understand, even if it was expensive, there's $14 million in RIC that we could use to reimburse them. So it doesn't, like, at that level, it doesn't even really matter. It's so insignificant. I mean, we could have exchange, we could support exchanges that don't really, so long as a market is there for it and we have the budget for it. But
Awesome. Well, I'll leave the space for others to chime in, but appreciate that answer.
Yeah, thanks, Clayton. It's a great question. Maybe I'll try to put something in the docs that says that, and we can refer people to it. So there's like a step process they can read. Any other questions?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead. Chinmay?
Yeah, yes. So I am actually the Rashtakov. Yeah.
Oh, hey, welcome.
Welcome. Good to meet you.
Good to hear you.
Yeah, good to be here. And yeah, this is my first time in this community call. And yeah, my question is this, that I have a project, right? We recently won the Polygon Bidlit hackathon. And I think you already know it. So it's basically DH integration with SF, right? So that's it. And we are actually working on the UI and UX on the website, basically. And also I'm trying to integrate IDA since, I mean, right now it's custodial, right? It's not really non-custodial. So we need it to be non-custodial. That's the key point. So my real question is there any, like, do you have any plans for, incubating such projects, which has the same goal like Ricochet, and at the same time, both of us can benefit. That's the key point.
Yeah, they're definitely, I've given this some thought because you're not the only person in this situation. And my thought is that what we need to do with RexForce is essentially introduce some sort of formalized structure where people who want to do that, like you, are empowered to just like make a request for a budget so that you're being funded with RIC to work just on that, under the assumption that, you're basically building a Ricochet product, right? So it's sort of an incubation where, you're given special authority within the community. Maybe that includes access rights to GitHub and all sorts of things. And then from there, you could just request how much do you need? Do you need a stream of money to go full time and work on this, or, what is it? And then, we as a community can just figure out the best way to do it. But I would say that that's something that's coming. I've given it some thought, and I've had some conversations with, people in the communities that I know, like Teller and Superfluid, that, how we could kind of create this more formal contributor process that would support something like that someone wants to do. So yeah, I don't have the concrete way to do that yet. Other than, it's like the Apache Software Foundation, right? If you're familiar with the Apache Software Foundation, people build these projects, they're great, and then the maintainers at a certain point request to be added to the Apache Foundation as an Apache project. And what that really means is that they're going to adhere to a process for how they introduce new features, how they review code. Apache has the Apache way, which is like a way of sort of even communicating. It's kind of like a whole culture that they have. But the benefit of checking a project into the Apache Software Foundation is, one, you get access to the benefits of the organization, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. You also tap into their infrastructure, right? So they have GitHub hosting, project management software hosting, all sorts of different things, mail servers, listservs. And then, yeah, the Apache Software Foundation more or less sort of becomes the maintainer. The foundation becomes the maintainer, so that as the project goes and matures and people sort of cycle in and out, there is still a bit of, it's still maintainable and sustainable. And the way that they do that, it's a little, the intricacies of it are a little detailed, but essentially the way that they do that is for a specific project, they have a specific role for the person or people who are officially in charge of that project within the foundation. So I would imagine a similar thing, except none of this like 501c3 nonprofit. We're just going to use multi-sigs, where, you know, we will as a community sort of establish like the developer operations that we like, the security practices we like, you know, sort of quality assurance practices. And then people who want to start a new project or bringing in an existing project under the same name to get advantages, you know, they would just be a specific role for that kind of person. And then compensation, you know, would just be like whatever we want to propose. I mean, I think that for that role, the most appropriate would be some kind of like monthly stream, you know, but maybe there's a better way to do it, or maybe there's like a lump sum or milestone based approach. But yeah, well, I can commit to having something on the next community call. I'm going to talk to I'll probably talk to you and see what you think about this, since I know that you're interested in it, but I'll also talk to Sunny and then some of the other contributors. Clayton, I know you run a project. I might actually talk to you as well, because I'm sure you have some experience with sort of management and things. So yeah, that's what I have. I don't know if you have any follow-up questions or if that was sufficient, but.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's
Okay.
that answers my questions. So yeah, I'll leave
Yeah.
for others.
I'm trying to think, and if you want to chat about this more in Discord, maybe we just make a thread in proposals and just have it like incubator proposal.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I mean, I think Clayton was the one who suggested doing that. Right?
Yeah,
And,
I would like to see at a high level is basically identifying contributors that are, you know, sort of taking a lead and allocating them a big streaming salary, like enough that they will not need to do other stuff. And then, yeah, it's kind of empower those people to more or less incubate projects.
Yeah, cool. I'll start a track maybe tomorrow. I have an exam tomorrow, so yeah.
All right, good luck on that. Good luck on that.
Yeah.
Good luck on your exam.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, like the one thing I'd add that wasn't mentioned would be like you're also benefiting from like the brand recognition of Ricochet. I think we're getting that recognition as like the kind of cornerstone of like real-time investing. And I guess what you're building here is like real-time investing into managed portfolio positions. And so kind of fits under our kind of umbrella of kind of products. And so it would kind of benefit from that kind of brand recognition here. So also very cool.
Yeah. Very good. Exciting. I forget who the other contributor was that asked me about that, but there was somebody else. And I know it wasn't you. Maybe it was George.
Any other questions?
Well, what else?
What's up, guys?
Hey,
Just want to say congrats on the great year. You guys are killing it.
Thanks.
Also, you mentioned earlier when Clayton asked about the adding tokens, and I think you said Uniswap by mistake, but you're saying you meant sushi, right?
Well, yeah, under the hood, like technically speaking, it's Uniswap router v2. So yeah, it's like a Uniswap compatibility.
Gotcha.
So yeah, if you say if it's compatible with Uniswap router v2, which is like ClickSwap, any fork of SushiSwap or any fork of Uniswap will work fine. I do think it's funny that in the SushiSwap code, they just never refactored Uniswap out of it. It's just all over the SushiSwap code. It's still just Uniswap v3 or Uniswap router v2, Uniswap pair. So yeah, that's why I
Nice.
said.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say I love the idea of integrating with index co-op. That's really cool. Is that something you guys are looking to do like soon, or you said you're in contact
I'll
with
do
them,
it as
Sonny?
soon as a proposal passes.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
I'll do anything that's proposed. I feel it's my responsibility to make sure it gets done. So as soon as someone proposes, we list it and it passes, I will do it.
I mean, if you don't obey the
Yeah.
proposal, like what's the point of the proposal? What's the point of the governance token, you know? So
It's just
For
the
sure.
whole thing is like what I want to see is I want to see other people expand some energy before I'm going to expand some energy. So get 10,000 Rick, put a proposal together, and then you can have some of my time.
Makes sense. Yeah, like DCAing into those because those are also like switched on quarterly basis. I think for so they like actually do the rebalancing themselves. So it's like, I mean, I think that's just really cool to be able to DCA into something like that. So
yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. Thanks, bro. Thanks. What else? Do we have any questions on the Excel sheet that we didn't cover?
Yeah, looks like I want to call us questions. We can move on to what's here. One person asked like a series of questions. First question was, what is V2 all about? You can go to community call number 8 and you'll see what the details on V2 and Mike explained all that. What is the general roadmap thinking with regard to the product? Well, that's essentially V2 and the kind of to-dos on that kind of V2 list. So you'll also hear about that on the community call on community call number 8. And then after that, what about marketing / adoption? So I think a lot of our marketing comes from partnerships and new products, and gain exposure through community calls, and I think the kinds of marketing that we'll be doing is like high quality stuff, such as like going on Twitter Spaces, that kind of exposure out there, and through partnerships and listing new tokens and those kinds of integrations. I don't think we'll be buying Polygon scan banners anytime soon. That kind of spend. We're not really going for that. And then how big is the team? We are 2 core team members plus like 40 Rex Force members who complete.
Are there really 40 of us? No way. There's not 40. Are there?
I think so. Maybe between 30 and 40. Between 30 and 40.
20. There were like 20 last time. So, or no, there was over 20 last time. So yeah, maybe we did add another couple people.
Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. That's
great.
That's kind of the contribution base. Another question is
we do also another way to measure that would be the number of people in our organization or number of contributors on repositories. I think our front end repository has 12 or 13, maybe 15 contributors. In our organization, we've added 9. The only thing that's when we add someone in the organization, it's because we're going to start assigning them stuff, or we just want to make it. They're working on bigger issues that like we're just going to put their name on it so that you can see it. The other reason that you would get that access is if you're helping with DevOps. So yeah, but those people who are listed as the project team or project people, those are like, I would say, are very active contributors. And then there are additional inactive contributors or one-time contributors on the repository, which number closer to 12 or 15.
Yep. Next question is, what is the most competitive point with you? I think a lot of people, when they talk about competition with Ricochet, they bring up those custodial DCA products, such as like, I think Dango Finance is an example, Mean Finance. The differentiation there is that we're doing this with Superfluid Stream, so it's non-custodial. You're not depositing your money into this contract and having someone like do the swaps for you, and you're having to go and claim that. It's all just streaming out of your wallet and then streaming and like distributing back right into your wallet. And so that opens up, a kind of paradigm of network cash flows. So being able to stream into something and then stream that something into something else and basically earn yield on that. These kinds of connected DeFi strategies and added customization. You can sort of stream portfolio that kind of got a custom rate and basically DCA into an assortment of different kinds of investments or yield bearing positions, etc. And so that kind of non-custodial as well as kind of like streaming fashion in which our products work as a differentiation point there, as along with the network cash flow kind of abilities that you can do with super tokens. And yeah, overall, we're also looking to branch into stream lending as well. So that's another kind of a differentiation there. And stream lending just hasn't been done before, so not really a kind of like competitive point there. And
I have some.
anything you'd add?
Yeah, so Rex Force is a competitive advantage. At this point, we've been at streaming apps for 6 months, and we've pretty much attracted a lot of the talent of that knows how to do this stuff and how this stuff works. So having those people contribute, and they are probably our biggest advantage, is just the mind share with respect to streaming things. That's probably big. The second advantage is obviously that you have to go to Superfluid to get a registration key. So, and I think the third advantage is just that it's working and we have a lot of the market share already. So when you have a player, I've always said this, when you have a player that's dominating like 90% of the market, the idea that they would stop growing is just ridiculous. So even if someone else shows up at this point and starts taking small bits of market share, they're not going to be able to grow as fast as we're growing, and inevitably whatever they're doing, we'll just do it. So
yep, yeah, we do have first mover advantage. We are the first community deployment of a super app on Polygon, so in terms of like Superfluid competition, not much there.
Yeah,
and
we have me,
and we have Mike, who's just an absolute beast, so hard to compete with him.
Yeah, very hard to compete with me. I wouldn't recommend it. You should just join me.
Yeah, that's a strategy.
Yeah, we'll all do better if we all just join up.
Yep. The last question is, shall we develop a strategy that allows investors to stake their RIC in our bank and then borrow the USDCX based on the stake number and term? I mean, that's
already how it works.
That's essentially how it works. So
I think maybe they're talking about streaming. And I think, yeah, there are bits and pieces, I think, where streaming could add value. Sonny's identified I think the most obvious one, which is if you're willing to stream your interest payment to the bank while you're borrowing, we can definitely give you a discount because you're basically creating cash flow for us. So it's kind of de-risking your position. So it's definitely de-risking your position. What am I saying? Anyway, I do need to drop off, Sonny. I got to go somewhere at 11. But any final thoughts?
Just a real quick question. Do you know why there's no rank on CoinGecko yet for RIC? Like,
yeah, it's because there's the circulating supply statistic is not there. One of the keepers was actually working on making that API. I'll check in with them and see where they are. But yes, it's because there's no market cap, because there's no circulating supply. Circulating supply is like 1.5 million, I think, probably. Right. But we should just have an endpoint for it. So.